Very well. Okay, awesome. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here again, everybody, and thanks for Giulio for joining us today. Our next guest for the Office Hours AMA. So we have these regular office hours to have a guest from some of the client teams to learn more about their work, about their background, to understand what is it like to be a core developer, and the audience, the fellows, have a chance to ask any questions. If you have any technical questions about consoles execution, Erigon, Go, I believe that Julia is the right person to ask. But before we jump into that, I would like to learn more about your background, about where you're coming from, what was your journey in the core development. So why don't we start with a bit of that? If you can tell me, Julia, more about how you get started working on Ethereum. What was the journey for you to get into the core development? I know you started early, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah. So, all right. So first of all, so actually my journey is a bit weird. It's probably more unusual than other people because I started code development at 17 years old. Right now I'm 22, almost 23. And it's a bit weird because it's basically because when people ask me where where do I come from, it's just Ethereum, right? Like I'm basically Ethereum native in every single sense of the word. I would have worked basically my career as a software engineer starting Ethereum, and it's also continuing in Ethereum right now. So it's a very boring answer, but yeah, I basically I'm just Ethereum. That's it. And so the journey actually started with me when I was 17 years old, starting to chat with Alexei Akunov, which was the when Aragon was called TurboGaf at the time. There was a period of time where we didn't really choose a name, and Aragon was just kind of a better archive node for GAF, and so we just went with TurboGaf. And at that time, I was we I decided to reach out to Alexei Akunov and ask him actually to join the project. Just cold text him whether I could just join the project, and he gave me some tasks, and then I just joined eventually because apparently I was good at it, and and yeah, so that's essentially that's essentially what happened. He was actually asking. Alexei was actually at the time looking for an apprentice of some sort, and I just kind of spawned into the picture. I just took it. I just took it as an opportunity. I actually was aware of Ethereum since I was 15 years old. I did some Solidity before then, but nothing really serious. I contributed to some project like Raiden Network, which now is basically dead. Basically, yeah, but nothing too crazy. No, but nothing too crazy before Aragon. And yeah, after just chatting with him for a little bit, he gave me some tasks, and I just got started. And then slowly, I got better at it, and now I'm essentially the CTO of the company. Essentially, that's essentially what happened. And yeah, that's my past, my background. Yeah, it's a bit boring, but it is what it is. I have a short life.
Yeah, I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's very interesting. Thank you so much, Julio. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so Ethereum native since 17. That's really awesome. I've been looking into Ethereum since I was like 16, 17, but uh,
Yeah.
mostly focused on Bitcoin before. So it's I think takes a lot of courage and talent to start so soon.
Mhm.
And yeah, so if you can tell us more about that, like what was it like starting? What were the first things you worked on? What issues have you been facing?
So when I got started, I think in Ethereum, like when I entered Ethereum, I was not 17 actually, I was 15. Right, I became a core developer at 17, but I actually entered in Ethereum at 15. And actually, I didn't like Bitcoin. To be fair, I never entered Bitcoin. I still don't really like the premise of Bitcoin. To be honest, I thought Ethereum was cool because essentially everyone can build their own application and just get shit done immediately. You can basically handle real life money without any intermediary. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't nothing. Nobody cares. You can just do it, and I think that's what was great about it. Bitcoin didn't really intrigue me. Uh, probably kind of unpopular thing, but I never found anything really. I don't like Bitcoin. Basically, I just don't like it. And yeah, and yeah, so that's what appealed me to get into Ethereum. It was the smart contract development, and I also and then eventually, so at the beginning, I started working for Michelin's project in open source space. Like one of them I already mentioned, it's Red Network. For people who don't know what Red Network is, which I think it's most of you, because honestly, it's dead, so nobody probably knows about it anyways anymore. It was it promised to be a micro a payment service for Ethereum. It basically used something called payment channels, which was basically the early version of layer twos. Basically, you do the transaction off chain and then you verify, and then you batch verify them on chain later. This is basically the gist of it, right? And it basically is the earliest. Basically, I think it could be considered the earliest version of an L2 that has ever existed. And I remember that my first PR there was basically patching a security vulnerability, which was kind of interesting. Basically, bad balance. It was still in a testnet at the time. It wasn't on mainnet, but they essentially didn't check some part of the balance when doing transactions, and it could and people could double spend basically on the payment channel. And so that's the first issue I actually ever fixed in any blockchain project, which I think is kind of interesting. And then I did some contribution to Kyber Network, which is now a dead DeFi project, and other things, which actually I don't remember on top of my head. Oh, I also played a little bit with some of Barry Whiteout project about zero knowledge, but it was very minor stuff. But I can, but these are, I think, my early highlights, basically.
No, that's awesome, and I think it's really cool because I didn't know that you contribute to Raiden, and I was a big fan of Raiden. Like again, mentioning I come in a bit from Bitcoin, I was a big fan of Bitcoin Lightning, the payment channels on there.
Yeah.
So the Raiden just immediately made sense to me. I like the idea of payment channels, which are
They sent me merch
infinitely scalable between two parties.
Yeah, the nice thing is they actually sent me merch when I fixed the issue, because they realized I was 15 and they just sent me merch. I have like 3 Raiden hats that are oversized now.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I have a Raiden T-shirt somewhere. That's interesting piece of history. But let's move more to the future or to the current day. What are you working on these days? I know that you've been contributing to a lot of prototyping efforts. Like you've been working on Verkle trees before in Aragon and on the latest features. So what are you? Yeah, what are your challenges today? What are you up to?
So I think right now I'm mostly up to do. So I do. So I think I should separate what I do for work to what I do as a hobby. As a hobby, I just write EIPs and I make them go into hard forks. That's what I do as a hobby. It's not really part of my official work, but I just do it because it's fun to to contribute to the Ethereum protocol as a whole. If you look at the Fusa hard fork right now, I think I have 4 EIPs in there that you can. I don't know. I don't even remember the numbers in my head, but I have 4 EIPs in it, for example, and that's one thing I work on. I just work on speccing them and into coming up with the ideas behind them. They're mostly right now on L1 scaling. There are security. There is a security EIPs direction at L1 scaling, and in Aragon specifically right now I'm working on well, I'm the CTO, so I work on many things. I basically work on everything, but the coolest thing I've worked in the past few months was our proving data scheme for archive nodes, which we didn't have and no other nodes had. And we just essentially we're about to roll it out right now. Essentially, it allows big infra providers to provide Ethereum proofs for basically every single block range, which is great for witness generation in zk VMs. It's great for trustless bridging. It's great for a lot of things that requires Merkle tree, Patricia tree proving. So everything that claims to prove Ethereum, is made easier by this by this project I've been running. And I actually finished it very recently, 2 days ago. Actually, I think it went into testing from some big infra provider, and they're testing it for me, and we're gonna see if it's gonna work. So that's what I've been working technically. Then I'm also manager of projects, so that's a bit more boring stuff. It's just keep track of people. Yeah, that's pretty much it what I've been doing recently.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. That's very interesting. Also, from coming from like the early contributor to CTO to managing people, that's an interesting experience. Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot, Giulio. I think it's very inspirational, but I hope that folks have some more specific questions, something that they can ask. We get some people who also contribute to Erigon as a part of EPF. So, folks, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Um, don't let me use all the space.
Someone already put a
Yeah.
question on GitHub, by the way. Maybe we should ask just by answering it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah. We can start with that. That's great. Yeah.
so I'm just gonna read it out loud, or if you guys want. So the question is: I recently saw Nethermind, Gaf, and Class Lambda teams publish articles on AL benchmark testing, but the results displayed are different. Should there be unified standards? Um, so probably, so it's a bit vague. The question is a bit vague here. I don't know what should have a unified standard. If what it's meant is the performance optimization, probably the answer is probably no, because each client is built differently. They're designed differently, and it's very hard to do the exact optimization to the exact optimizations to the minuscule detail in every single client at the same time. Probably that's not possible. There are unified standards in the sense that the protocol specification is the same for everyone. But aside from there, probably the answer is no. And there probably never be, because it's a huge coordination issue, and also it's very hard to enforce, right? Protocol rules are easy to enforce. This stuff is out of the protocol. You can't enforce it. And then the second question is: I originally considered implementing EPF6, so it's block level access list, I believe, just by looking at the number in Aragon. But when I look at the source code, I find that Aragon state management implementation is quite complex. In addition to the basic database cache, and also uses write file optimization. What is the trade-off here? So actually, block level access list should not touch any of that, to be fair. That's the first thing I'm gonna say. I don't think it touches that. You should just listen to the touch state, and that's it. You shouldn't really touch the internals of the database. GAF also have GAF and Nethermind also have caching, and the GAF. Well, yeah, so. Okay, the first comment I would say is that you probably shouldn't touch those things as part of BAL, in my head. That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing, which is the answer to the question, what is the trade-off here? Basically, the trade-off, the trade-off is, well, there is no trade-off, they're optimization. So they make the node better. They make some low-level API more complex, as you mentioned. I don't think you should touch them as part of 7.928. I'm not sure why you look into that, but yeah. So the caches are also present in GAF and Nethermind. The database separation from static files and the hot state is actually also present in GAF right now. But it's a lesser, but I think it's probably lesser known. We probably abuse it more. And I mean, the compression, it's just an optimization. So the trade-off is, yeah, it's some low-level API is more complex, but overall, you shouldn't touch them as part of BAL. That's the question. And it makes everything better overall, apart from that.
Very well. Thank you so much for answering both of those, and yeah, thanks for the question, Grebaba. It's great that we had the one in the disk in the GitHub. Yeah, thanks for the technical answer. I hope you guys have some more questions. Please raise your hand. Let's ask something live as well. You have a chance to chat with Giulio in person live, so please use the opportunity. Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot. Your experience is amazing. So I was pretty surprised, and also I'm curious about when you started to dive into Ethereum. It was already a huge project. So where did you start it? Like to learn, like to accumulate all this knowledge, and also like code base, the understanding of the code base of the
Mhm.
Ethereum. I mean, now when we look back to the Ethereum code base now, it looks like it's pretty huge. And honestly speaking, I can only understand the part I'm working on. So if we are talking about other parts, it's really
Right.
hard to say like I have any understanding for them.
So I actually started. I don't remember if it was immediately or or a bit in my blockchain journey when I started at 15 years old. But uh, the first time I looked Ethereum specification, I referred to something called the yellow paper. I don't know if people still talk about it because it's a dead documentation, as far as I know. Because now we have also the consensus layer, and it will be huge to describe it all in one and in one single place at least. So I started from the yellow paper. I read the yellow paper. It's actually uh, I think people. I think the yellow paper is a very nice way to start learning about Ethereum. I think people kind of demonize it a little bit because they think it's complex because it's full of mathematical notation. But if you get used to it, it's actually quite nice. So that's actually how I started to look into the internals. Then the second thing I did while I was looking at the yellow paper is also I was going over GAF a little bit. I was really at the beginning just curious to know how everything worked because, yeah, I mean, I can write smart contracts, but smart contracts are very easy, right? They're just like JavaScript like language, entry points, it's easy stuff. But you go into details and then you look at how the EVM works, how the encoding works, how transactions are broadcasted, and yeah. A funny part is actually I never looked into Bitcoin code. I actually don't know anything about Bitcoin technically, but I know quite a bit about Ethereum. So that's how actually I started learning. I just looked at the yellow paper, and while I was looking at the code base, and some things are just one to one with the yellow paper. So you kind of get to understand at a surface level what does what very quickly, because a lot of this referenced back to the yellow paper at the time, at least. Now it's a that documentation, I think.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I also started with yellow paper, and I
No, it's
also
not that yet.
like
Wow.
yeah,
That's
we
really
also like like how to say how the compiler works, how the stake virtual machine works. That's actually the first time I understand how the stake based virtual machine works.
yeah, I know,
So
it's great.
yeah, that's also amazing. But I didn't really get into the guests. That's maybe the difference. And yeah, we actually discussed the last week or the week before. We're wondering like there is actually like a yellow paper for the current version of the Ethereum technique, but I mean I didn't find that.
I know it's. I think it's that I think they give some the people that maintained it gave up on it because after London after the AP159 artwork because they had the consensus layer, then they had the other things, and if you were to actually formally specify it, it would be bad probably. It would be probably very long, and also yellow paper is people are scared of it for some reason. So I think it's the best piece of documentation for Ethereum that has ever existed, but most people don't think so, actually. So
Yeah,
it is what
I
it
agree.
is.
I enjoy it, but also I know like some people really
No,
cannot
so
enjoy it. Yeah.
I think it's just taste. Most people are don't like it. I don't know why. Anyway.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm honestly surprised as well. Like I think it's hard to parse the yellow paper if you don't have the mathematical training, if you're not used to it, and respect for like diving into Ethereum like that. Like I think the Python specs are, for programmers at least, are much more readable. So it's yeah, it's interesting approach. I respect that. Josh has a question.
I guess I'm curious more about your sort of early life education and like how you got into programming generally as such a youngster and like where that motivation came from as a kid.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, this is interesting. So I think I actually wanted. I knew I wanted to do computer stuff when I was like uh, I think 4 years old because I was playing. I remember I was playing with. I remember that my family gifted me a Nintendo DS. I don't know if yeah, you probably will know what a Nintendo DS is, but it's and I remember that when I was 4, I couldn't really get my hand around it because it was basically Magic Box doing things. Like it was like how do you display things on a screen like that? It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like from at least from a 4 years old mind, it should to me it was kind of crazy, right? Everything seems to just work like ball is here and it falls, and then all of a sudden you have a magic box that has colors and stuff. And so I always thought like, wow, this is sorcery. I want to learn about it, right? And then I remember when I was around I think 13 years old, 14 years old. I actually can't quite remember. I think 13 years old. I started looking up tutorials on how to program in C. That's my first programming language, which is probably it was probably too hardcore. I probably should have started with something easier, but there was like this very good. So first of all, I won't say I'm Italian, and so I was looking up at this like Italian YouTuber. I was lesser known one, and I just was looking through all of his C tutorials. Then after a while, I decided to test myself uh, with some exams from the University of Rome, which were first year exams. So imagine like implementing linked list in C or stuff like that, right? It's very not very complex stuff. And I think I realized I had a knack for it after I was able to complete basically all of the questions on some of those exams, and I just started going down from there. I did some then I'm basically 100% self-taught. Right? I don't think I had my family gave me some tutors at some point because they kind of realized that I was particularly good at it, but I think I'm mostly self-taught. I use the tutors mostly to answer questions I didn't know to answer. Those questions that they come up, but you can. At the time, there was no ChatGPT, right? So you needed to have some ref, and the internet was not actually that developed either. So if you had a question, it was really hard to get an answer for it on the internet, and so that's essentially what the tutors did. But most of the things, I think I'm pretty self-taught, even going forward. I think after my learning C phase, I just learned all the other languages by myself without any help. I think C is the best language to learn to start probably with actually in second thought because it teaches because if you can do C, you can do everything else. And then I just went over from there.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Awesome. Any more questions? Anyone? Free to raise your hand. Yeah, Irene.
Hi Giulio, I'm also Italian, so ciao Giulio.
I think I met you.
Yes, exactly. We met at the Interop.
Yes.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to
So
see
my
you.
question would be more not on the code base, so like stepping back from the code and more the technical side. What do you think about like the actual products that are built currently? So for example, last summer we had the NFT saga. This summer we had the meme coin. So what do you think about the products that are built on the top of Ethereum?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So So to be completely fair, so I want just to start saying that this is really not part of my expertise, but I might as well just answer. But I will just give an answer. I think that first of all, I'm of the opinion that Ethereum should build useful things. That's I think my first my mantra when I came into the chain. I think that the best things built on Ethereum so far is DeFi, and it's not even close. I think NFTs, meme coins are generally not bad use cases, and I think this is kind of an unpopular opinion. I think I would even go as far as saying that stuff like the stuff like that accessible or permissionless gambling is also a nice use case. I know that it sounds bad say it like that, but there are people who wants to do it, so why not let them, right? That's my opinion on that. And but I think that the epitome of Ethereum so far has been DeFi. It's I think the number one use case, and I think if you look at Aave right now, it will be the top 30th bank. I think that's great. It's just great. I think I'm a really big fan of DeFi. I'm also somewhat of a fan of everything else. Everything that people want, I'm a fan of. I think that right now, I think that right now these products are maturing, and I think, and I think, and my honest opinion is that DeFi is gonna make a great return soon, probably, because that's I think now there is like this narrative about treasury companies, Wall Street, and I think that DeFi is gonna be pretty much the hotspot of this new narrative. I think, maybe not. Who knows?
Amazing, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to see you bullish on DeFi. That's really cool coming from a core dev. Nice. Utsav has a question.
Hey, Giulio, can you hear me?
Lightly. Maybe you should. Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you. It's just a bit far. I hear you a bit far, but you can.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So we were talking about that DeFi was one of the best inventions in Ethereum. So let's talk from an economic perspective. We can easily say DeFi firms make money, and security firms make money, and even builders, everyone makes money. So what are your thoughts about ZK? How do ZK game teams or these teams make money?
So my thoughts about ZK, right? So this is actually kind of a loaded question. So this is actually, this is a very loaded question. There is a lot of things to unpack here, but just to let me just think about it for how can I. So I'm bullish on ZK. Okay, I'm completely bullish on ZK. I think it's the right direction if it works. I think, I also do think that I also I don't know if overall I'm just bullish on ZK. Yeah, it's just great, it's just great. I don't if it works, I think it's great if it works, right? I think that the only thing I might say that might be probably unpopular is that the timelines right now are not what I'd like them to be. But that's pretty much it. I think if we can find, if our compromise is with ZK, we can do some serious scaling. I think ZK is great. That's simple as that. I just hope it could come. I just am not really happy that it's coming in potentially like 10 years, because I'm probably not gonna. Because in 10 years I'm gonna be 33. So that's the only thing I'm not really a fan of. But that's great. I'm bullish.
Thanks. Sorry to see we both have same views on ZK.
Sorry, what?
It's nice to say we both have same views about ZK.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, ZK. Any more questions, folks? We have plenty of time. Please do feel free to ask. Anyone?
Curious what you feel like the hardest part about your job is, especially as kind of stepping into the CTO role
Talking
and
to
being a
people.
people manager. Yeah, I kind of thought that might have been the answer.
Yeah, I mean, there are different definition of difficult, right? I think for me, it's talking to people because I'm also young. So I think that it's. I know it's not really an optimal dynamic to have. I'm aware of it because people I work with sometimes are twice my age. And I am aware that being young, I don't really interface myself with people that are older than me, so I have to be careful about what I say. So it's a bit more, it's not hard in the sense that I don't really need to put like time in it, but I need to be careful. That's what I'm gonna say, right? It's something I probably don't want to mess up. Then the hardest thing I work on, well, if you want to go technically, probably the proving scheme that I recently finished doing is probably the hardest project, the most complex project I've ever worked on so far in my life. So that's it. Yeah, that's I think generally my question, the gist of it.
Cool. Yeah, and I guess to sort of follow up, I don't really see you participating in the live ACD process very much. Is that what would
I
you say
do
is?
sometimes, but I do sometimes. I don't. Usually, my talking is internally to my team. I do sometimes because I'm championing 40 APs. Uh, the thing about ACD is that I guess I only attend when because usually ACDs are either like testing updates, which it's not really my responsibility, or it is not my at least not directly I'm indirectly responsible, but it's not my direct responsibility, or or in some cases it's EAP decisions, and I usually only attend the EAP decisions because that's where I usually have stake and where I actually have a direct responsibility to. So that's usually my talking is internal. It's not really external with other teams sometimes, but
Cool, makes sense.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, please raise your hand, guys. And Shane has a question. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, just curious. Since you guys are both Golang based, like Geth, curious what are some of the main like optimizations you guys have built comparing to them? Since you guys are newer, feel like you probably made some optimizations based off of the original code base. So just kind of curious, how would you kind of compare the two?
well, Aragon is an infra provider client. We work with RPCs, if I mostly. So we actually have optimization for different use cases than GAF. At the beginning, I guess we built Aragon because GAF didn't want our changes essentially. They didn't want any additional complexity, and so they just basically told us no. And so we just built our own client, our own fork. And the main difference is that we are RPC centric. We are infra provider centric. We work with RPCs, and we optimize on that axis, which is something that I don't think any other client is actively doing. So I think it's a pretty big plus for Ethereum as a whole. I think it would be less of a plus if we just did what everyone else is doing, which is like just be focused on staking.
Mhm. Okay, cool. So you guys found like a niche use case within like the
Yeah,
ETH world. Got it. And that's RPCs. Good to
yeah.
hear. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great use case to. It was Eragon was the only viable way to run an archive node before maybe Red is another example, but I had a server with like 12 terabytes of SSDs just to run get archive node before I switched to Eragon. So yeah, that's the main factor there. Um, yeah, any more thoughts, questions, folks? I have a question about. Okay, Aiden, go ahead.
So you're gonna go next, Mario. So follow-up question about the ZK. What specifically do you think is gonna be like the pivotal point of the ZK in the next 2 years, let's say so? So why are you super interested in ZK and bullish on ZK?
Well, I think the pivotal point, the most important thing to figure out is how to incentivize people to generate proofs. Because right now, as far as I understand, the proof generation is very expensive. Verifying the proof is not, but making the proof is. The provers. If you go, you might have heard that now we have we have subslot proving. We can prove Ethereum blocks in 10 seconds. And if you go look at the specifics, the setup is for generating these proofs is around. Basically, what I read on Saxing website was $124,000 worth of computing, which is a lot. So we need an incentive for that, and we need to figure out how to incentivize people to prove. I think that's the most important thing to do. And I think although it sounds a bit weird, maybe a bit easy, because I mean, just give them if, just make a mechanism to give them if from the consensus, right? But it's not actually that easy, because if you think about it, there are a lot of stakeholders here to consider, and I think that it's very hard to push things into Ethereum as is. If you also have differing stakeholders that have kind of differing interests, is a bit harder to pinpoint a point of agreement between all of these stakeholders, and I think that's what we need to figure out. I think comfortably we will get to sub 4 seconds proving. We are going to do it 100%. So I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about how we are going to incentivize people generating proofs. That's what I'm mostly concerned about. But I think it's going to get figured out.
Interesting. So you think it's just a matter of time?
Yeah, it's a matter of time. The only thing I'm worried is mostly that there are different stakeholders here that might have differing opinions. It's very similar to the issuance change. I don't know if any of you really. So there was a proposal to change the issuance of Ethereum to be more efficient, right? It wasn't the most, it's not like our main priority anyways, but there was these proposals made from some EF researchers. And when it was published, there was like a huge outrage about it. People were mad about it because, home stakers will get less. So, big staking pools would get less, because right now Ethereum is overpaying for security. Their analysis showed that, and they wanted to reduce the issuance because you don't want to overpay for security by orders of magnitude. You want to pay what it is worth, right? So yeah, I feel like we're gonna end up in that same position potentially, because it's a change to issue, because it is a change to issuance.
Interesting, thank you. Any more questions, folks? Feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, I would follow up on this because I'm curious. How do you see the future with like this proving everything in ZK and having a high gas limit? Like, what is the future of archive nodes in this world? Like, are we going to keep the same format? Are we able? Yeah.
I guarantee you that if this becomes the case, you will not run an archive node at all, because archive nodes don't have the shortcuts. In archive nodes, you don't have a shortcut. Archive node is you keep everything, right? And you need perfect latency. You need perfect everything, and the trade-off space is very small. You can't. The ZK world for full nodes is actually a trade-off. you are trading off the ability to execute the block properly in exchange for more scalability, and you instead rely on verifying an external proof. That's all you're doing in ZK. That's a trade-off. In archive, this trade-off cannot exist because the archive node, by definition, is keeping everything. You can't prune it. You can't verify it. You can't do ZK on it. You can't do anything. Actually, Portal Network wanted to try to push, an archive node that is sharded in the network, but that probably would have not worked because it's too slow. And also Portal Network is now dead. So I think that there is no, I mean, that's the only trade-off I can think of, but that's not a good trade-off, because if you try to do something like Portal Network wanted to do, you would have probably gotten an RPC answer. Say you want to get a balance for an account, you would probably wait 2 seconds to get it. And that's not acceptable for wallets. Like if you open MetaMask, it cannot take 1 minute to load your balance, your wallet. It's not acceptable, of course. So archive nodes cannot take any trade-off, and they will grow exponentially, and you will not be able to run it 100%. This is not a question for me. I know it sounds very bad, but that's what archive node will end up being. In our defense, Eragon has a very scalable architecture for big infrastructure providers, but it will not help you. It will not save you from the fate of not running your own archive node at home. Unfortunately, this is something that will happen.
Yeah, interesting things, Giulio. Yeah, because the history of the state growth is just getting crazier, and I was being a bit optimistic because I saw some changes in the latest. I don't know, it's Eragon 4 or 5 or something. Honestly, I don't remember a number. But the archive actually got smaller. It had less.
Yeah, it's actually smaller than. Archive nodes today are smaller than 5 years ago. We went backwards. We went backwards. As history grows, archive node shrinks. Yeah.
So I saw you guys always have some cool research on this, and I was hoping to see something which might be sustainable. And either way, thank you so much. We still have 15 minutes to go, folks. Please use the time to learn something, to get inspired, to ask some questions from Giulio. So Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. If you don't mind, I want to get into more details about technique part. I'm curious about how consensus client and the execution client handles blobs and PRDAS messages. And also how to perform samplings, because to my understanding now, PRDAS now allow or requires a different client, consensus client, to do samplings, right? And also they are divided into different subnets, but it's still so you want to know more.
So big disclaimer, I know how PRDAS work. I am not really sure about the exact specifics, but I will try to. But I think I can answer your question. So, to be honest, blob handling in Ethereum is kind of a Frankenstein monster. Even if I think Justin Drake even said that. So during the Berlin Interop, that the blob handling is just needs to be destroyed and changed completely. Basically, what happens is this, right? Someone make a blob. So after PRDAS, there will be a new transaction time, I think, where you are forwarding the cell, where you're actually forwarding the cells of the blob instead of the blob itself. So you're going to send this transaction to the YEL, then the YEL will then when the YEL is building the block for the CL to broadcast, it will essentially then send over the cells to the CL when the CL is trying to get the execution payload. And what's going to happen is essentially the CL then does the check itself. The EL doesn't do almost any of the checkings. The CL does, and then they get broadcasted, right? So as you can see, it's a bit messy because the flow is not self-contained. It goes from the EL to the CL. It's a bit of a mess. But it is what it is. And also, the CL is where the blobs actually live, not the EL, although that's where they're born. The blobs are born on the EL, but not on the CL. And yet, the CL is the one that keeps them, archives them, etc., etc. So regarding different nodes, it's very deep to me because because there are two different type of nodes in PIRDAS for blobs. There are normal nodes, full nodes, and super nodes, right? I care about super nodes because I am an infra provider friend, right? I work with infrastructure providers and they need all the blobs. So I can tell you that that's kind of that will be made a little bit worse. It's very hard with PIRDAS to archive the blobs, but we were able to make it work anyways. I'm a bit sad that now it's a bit messier and it's a bit harder, but it is what it is. Everything should. I mean, we shouldn't hold up. I mean, it's good enough, right? Even if you scale it up to 70, so it's fine.
Wow, thanks. I mean, I understand it's a mess, but after your explanation, I understand why and where it's messed.
It's a mess, yes, because it's not self-contained essentially, and I think Justin Drake also complained about it during the Berlin interop. I don't remember if it was him or Alex or Alex. I don't want to misquote people. I think someone from the EF definitely said so.
Yeah, I mean, like I started DAS from the crypto side. It's very clear and elegant way. So I didn't think too much. I thought, okay, the protocol itself is self-contained. It's like very nice, secure.
It's not.
But then, like once we touch the real implementation, it looks like it's totally not like the paper described. It's much more complex to handle all this stuff.
Unfortunately, some design decisions were taken that were probably not the best. And well, I mean, it's good enough. Okay, it's good enough. You cannot have the best. You can perfection. Perfection is the enemy of good. Good is perfection is the enemy of good. So.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot for the realistic insight, Giulio. Yeah, nice. Awesome. Do we have some more questions, folks? Please use the last few minutes to learn something from Giulio. Use the opportunity. Anyone? Dimitris, yeah.
Yeah, hi, Giulio. I was thinking based on an answer that you gave, for example, how would you suggest that we pass like EIPs which, for example, affect issuance and as a result, they affect like big stakers for the good of the network? I mean, how do you counter this pressure that is coming from big stakers and that could harm their interest? But overall, as a network, Ethereum would profit.
This is a very hard question. This is a very hard question because staker control the networks. They run the validators as a whole. So yeah, it's not a very easy question to answer. It's very hard. If stakers push back and they don't upgrade their nodes, there is no upgrade happening. I think that we are gonna have to have this discussion with stakers probably in the next few years. We will have to, and we will see what's gonna happen. There will probably be some people that are gonna get mad. Some people are going to take it to hacks to complain, to spin up some drama. It's not gonna be it's gonna be messy, but it will have to happen, right? And I lean to think that the changes to the staking curve will have to happen eventually. So, yeah, I think it's a very hard question, to be fair. It's a very hard question, to be fair. I don't know really how to answer it. All I can say is that I hope we're going to change the issuance. but I mean, stakers, they control the network, so ultimately, so.
Yeah, I see. No, so probably something like a compromise, or yeah, some kind of this kind of solution. Yeah, thanks.
I mean, yeah, maybe, I don't know, potentially. I didn't really thought up deeply about this. This is actually a kind of a good question. Thank you for asking it. I'm gonna think about it later probably, because I never thought about it. This, yeah.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, glad we can inspire each other. But it's a tough one. It's something that I think nobody in the ecosystem is really clear on. Okay, last 5 minutes. We have space for maybe one or two more questions, folks. So please seize the opportunity.
So I'm gonna go for the less technical question. And uh, I see that you joined the space around the age of 17, and you were the CTO of Erigan by the age of 22. That's a short amount of time. I'm wondering, what do you think was the driving force towards such a leap in your effort, in your like contribution?
So I don't know if I should. Okay, I'm trying to find a good answer to this. So ultimately, I just had good ideas, right? I don't want to get too much into detail this, because it's a bit because these things are usually involve different people, and they involve different, when people take a decision like that, there is usually a need to take a decision like that, and it's probably more of a private reasons that I should probably not say out loud. But the main reason is that I had the good ideas. People had the impression that I had good ideas, and that I knew what was needed for Ethereum infra provider, and that's it. I think that's the reason that's the part of the reason I can give you. I think if I have to give an advice, is to not, which is something I used to sin of in the past, because I came in very young, and I happened to get a bit arrogant at some point in my life. Don't become arrogant. That's all. That's the only advice I can give you, because yes, you might think you're better than some people, but you should never be arrogant, because you never know who's going to be your next to deal your hand next, right? That's the only advice I can give you.
That's beautiful advice. Thank you, Giulio.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Giulio. That would be my last question, actually. I wanted to ask about some advice for the fellows, and I think this is a great one. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I guess I can give you I mean, I guess that don't be arrogant happens because when I was 17, right? Like, imagine being 17 years old, right? And you get a lot of and your other people around you are like still in high school. They they don't know, they haven't figured out what to do with their life, and then there is you who got all of this attention, and you get a bit it gets out of your hand. Another advice I would like to give that probably would apply more is to always be proactive. There are a lot of people, I think, that are kind of that just experience life, and they don't really impact it. I would say you should try to be active. I think talking to people and be confident it doesn't hurt anyone. I think ultimately, I know it's going to sound a bit weird, but nobody really cares about you in general. You should always be direct. You should not think of people like they are gods or anything like that. You should just think like they are your equal, and talk to them like they're your equal, because that's how realistically people expect you to treat them. So that's what I'm going to say. So just because you don't have maybe a lot of experience, you shouldn't feel like scared, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Giulio. That's really nice. That's a great. I think it's a perfect way to finish the AMA here. And I would just say I think this is exactly what the EPF tries to push people to do, to just start contributing, to be active, not to wait for mentors or somebody to tell them what to do, but just be there and start building, because the doors are open. And as you can see, Giulio managed to also be self-taught and built all his career himself. So huge respect for that. And yeah, thank you so much for being here today. We are right at the hour, so it was perfect way to finish it. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much everyone for attending. And thanks again, Giulio, for all your wonderful answers, all your great advice. And I hope to see you again soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Giulio.
Are you coming to DevConnect?
Maybe. I don't know. I need because it's far and I need to think about it. Yeah, I probably will. I hope I will. I hope I will.
Okay. So hopefully we'll see you there, and fellows can meet you maybe there afterwards. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Cool.
Very well. So thanks again, and have a great day, everyone.